fantastic to have you here. We've got Sharon White, who's the second permanent secretary at the Treasury and an incredibly close colleague of ourselves in the Cabinet Office and huge support of everything you're doing, Sharon. But I just imagine in kind of budget week where we are now, I kind of wander down the second floor and I see a lot of activity. What's it like from the shop floor when you come up to a budget? What's the intensity like?
It feels really intense. In a way, this is the Treasury's moment. The thing we do is fiscal events, so whether it's a budget or the autumn statement or the spending review, almost the whole of the department comes together to make sure that the policies and the presentation are all in the best possible shape. And something slightly sort of magical happens about sort of 10 days or 2 weeks before a fiscal event, which is suddenly the temperature just starts to rise, and you can see people scurrying around the corridors just a little bit more, just making sure that all those final details are properly pinned down.
And is it as crazy as like long hours and pizzas in the office and weekends and stuff like that, and activity on emails, shoot up?
So there's a bit of that. I mean, I think the sort of, the sort of folklore of long, sort of late night working and overnight, there is a bit less of that than in the past. And one of the reasons is that we've got a slightly different institutional setup than we had under previous governments. So we now have an independent office of budget responsibility, which does our economic forecast, our forecast for the public finances, and they have a very clear timetable with us. So they set a timetable by which we need to let them know when certain decisions have been taken and certain policies have been made, so that they can then incorporate those changes into their economic and fiscal thinking. So the days when you could make very, very late decisions, if we do that now, it then misses the OBR's deadline. So it's brought a bit of discipline and a bit of structure and a bit more timeliness to the Treasury.
That's great. So also, I guess from our perspective, we love working with Treasury colleagues, and I know there's been some work going on over the last couple of years really around MPA and also commercial reform and digital and big reform agendas. What's the thoughts you have around the collaboration and the work we have to do together?
Yeah, so we've spoken a bit about this before, Stephen, and I mean, I've been back in the Treasury for 2.5 years or so, and in that period, I've worked closely with the Cabinet Office all through that period, but I think the relationship is as strong as it's ever been. I think that has been particularly under your leadership. I think the style that you have brought and the principles that you've brought to working with the Treasury, I think have made a huge difference. I think the work we did on efficiency during the spending round of 2013, I think was really important. So you had ERG experts in the room, you had the Treasury spending team, you had the department in the room, all working together, trying to ensure that we can take cost out through efficiency improvements in order to protect frontline spending and public services. I think the work, particularly on the Ministry of Defence last year, you were very much in the room with colleagues like Bill Crothers. Actually, we took out several tens and hundreds of millions because of the expertise that ERG teams brought to the room. That for me is fantastic.
It's great, and great collaboration. We love working with your colleagues around the Treasury. I think it was, as you say, fantastic and very functional relationship. More to do as always, but we're really, really encouraged by that. Now, another big, I guess, leap forward on the journey is around financial management.
Yes.
You're carrying the banner for the financial management review. We're big supporters. So what's the latest in that area?
Yes, I hope some of your teams will know that we did a review of financial management just before Christmas, which Richard Douglas, who's head of government finance, and I sponsored. And I think this is going to turn out, I hope, to be really important in the history of financial management in government, because I think we recognise, although there have been big improvements, so we now have financial directors and DGs who are professionally qualified. We're trying to take finance more seriously in the Treasury. There is still a big way to go, I think, for financial management to be really systematically central to our spending decisions, particularly when you look across Whitehall's great practice. That great practice needs to be a bit more systematic. So we're recruiting a new DG, new Director General for Spending and Finance, whose job is going to be to run the coordinate spending review, but also to be responsible for government finance. So he or she will have many more levers available to them to really make finance central. We're making a big push on management accounts. So some of the work that your teams have been doing brilliantly around management information, we're trying again to make that more systematic. So we've got more information on our spending about what's value for money, what's not, what do things cost, being able to compare things with some very clear benchmarks. So I'm really excited about the agenda, because I think in an environment where money's going to be tight for a long time, being able to really drill down on the last penny is going to be really critical.
That's good. And you say kind of money's going to be tight for a long time. Obviously, the weather's picked up, and we come in and read the papers with a renewed sense of optimism around British growth, and there's a sense in terms of things are on better times ahead.
Yeah.
So give us a calibration in terms of, I guess, Treasury leading on behalf of the government, where we are vis-a-vis austerity, deficit reduction, and the big macro issues.
Yeah, so it's very positive news that the growth has picked up, and as the Chancellor says, the economy is beginning to turn the corner, but it's a process of recovery and a process of healing. But in terms of the public finances, hopefully by the end of this Parliament we will be about halfway through dealing with the deficit, which was about 11% of national income in 2010, which is pretty unprecedented outside a war period. But there'll be another further period after the election of further repair to the public finances. So the coalition government has already committed, and that's public in the last autumn statement, that 2016, 17, 2017 and 18 there'll be a further consolidation, and then 2018-19 we will have a little bit of respite. So spending will be flat in real terms, but we will carry on the rate of cuts for the first couple of years for the next Parliament.
So more of the same.
More of the same.
Okay. Hey Sharon, I really appreciate you taking time out this week. I know it's incredibly busy for you, but I think very topical to have you on Monday Matters with budget coming up, and also I think on a personal level, I speak on behalf of the whole of ERG, you're a great role model in terms of the civil service, the leadership, and in such an important role in Treasury to define all the critical things around spending, investment, value for money, and set the tone for the government for the future. So I've loved working with you and collaborating with you, and I think there's a great relationship and a lot of trust across the teams. And I just wanted to personally thank you for all of that, and especially thank you for coming up and appearing on Monday Matters.
Stephen, thanks very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Sharon.
Terrific, thank you.
Great job. Thank you.
Thank you.